Hello and welcome to my channel Learn English 24/7. Do you ever wish you could speak English as easily and naturally as a native speaker? You've probably tried studying grammar and vocabulary, but speaking fluently still feels out of reach. This is a challenge that many English learners face. You can know all the grammar rules and memorize tons of vocabulary, but when it's time to speak, it can still feel like you're not quite fluent. That's completely normal. Speaking English fluently is not just about knowing words, it's about using them confidently and naturally in real situations. In today's video, we're going to focus on improving your English fluency with graded readers, simple, engaging stories that will help you speak like a native. Graded readers are specifically designed for learners, using easy-to-understand language and vocabulary, which makes them perfect for practice. Through these stories, you'll learn new phrases and see how they are used in real, relatable contexts. These stories will help you expand your vocabulary and teach you how to use English naturally in your everyday conversations. Now, let's talk about why it's so important to speak like a native. When we talk about speaking like a native, we're not talking about memorizing textbook phrases or using perfect grammar. Speaking like a native means feeling confident and comfortable using English in daily situations. It's about speaking fluently, with ease, and expressing yourself clearly. Fluency comes from practice and exposure to the language in a natural setting, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. You'll see that fluency doesn't come from perfection, it comes from comfort and practice. Throughout this video, we'll walk through a story together. I'll break it down for you, explaining key vocabulary and phrases that are commonly used in real-life situations. Afterward, I'll give you tips on how you can start using these words and phrases in your own conversations. It's all about making you feel confident and ready to speak English naturally. You'll learn how to connect these new words with real situations, so when it's your turn to speak, you'll be ready. Here's what to expect. We'll go through the story slowly, and as we do, I'll highlight important words and phrases that you can use right away. I'll also give you examples of how to use these phrases in different contexts so you can start applying them in your daily conversations. Whether you're speaking with friends, in a business meeting, or traveling, you'll feel more comfortable using these expressions. But most importantly, I want you to be active throughout this video. I don't just want you to watch passively, I want you to speak out loud as you follow along. Repeating the phrases and words you hear will help your brain connect the sounds and meanings to everyday use. This is how your brain starts to think in English, which is the key to becoming fluent. Don't worry about making mistakes. The more you practice, the better you will get, and fluency comes from making mistakes and learning from them. Every time you practice, you get one step closer to speaking more naturally. So, grab your pen and paper, get ready to practice, and let's dive into today's story. By the end of this video, you'll have learned useful vocabulary, practiced speaking out loud, and gained confidence in your ability to use English in real-world situations. Let's get started. Let's meet Sarah, a regular person just like you and me. Sarah works in a busy office, juggles multiple tasks every day, and tries to keep everything in balance. She has a lot on her plate, but she also enjoys spending time with friends, trying out new recipes, and getting some fresh air when she can. One morning, Sarah faces a common challenge that many of us experience in our daily lives. She has a meeting with an important client, but she's feeling nervous about her English speaking skills. Although she knows the vocabulary and the grammar, when it comes time to speak fluently and confidently, she gets stuck. Sarah worries that she might not be able to express her ideas clearly or might say the wrong thing, which could affect her professionalism. Sound familiar? Many of us have been there, feeling like we know enough but still unsure when it comes time to speak. But just like anyone can overcome a challenge, Sarah is about to go on a journey that will help her feel more confident in her English speaking abilities. Through practice, new strategies, and a little bit of courage, she'll be able to turn this situation around. Let's see how Sarah handles this challenge. Sarah has to figure out how to speak confidently in English during her big client meeting, something we've all had to deal with at some point. Whether it's a presentation at work, a conversation with a colleague, or simply speaking up in front of a group, we've all experienced the pressure of needing to express ourselves clearly, especially in a language that isn't our first. Sarah's situation feels even more intense because this client is important to her company, and the meeting will determine if they secure a new project. She knows the vocabulary, she understands the grammar, but when it comes to putting it all together smoothly and without hesitation, she feels stuck. The thought of making mistakes or being misunderstood makes her nervous. We can all relate to this feeling, wondering if we're saying the right things, worrying about speaking too quickly or too slowly, and fearing that our lack of fluency might affect the outcome. But this is where the journey starts. Sarah has to face her fear, find a way to build confidence, and learn how to speak English more easily and naturally. The question is, how will she do it? Let's find out. At first, Sarah didn't know how to handle the situation. She felt stuck, unsure of what to say or do. The client was asking questions, and Sarah struggled to respond quickly and clearly. She knew the words, but they didn't come out as smoothly as she hoped. She fumbled over phrases and paused, unsure if her English was good enough to impress the client. But Sarah didn't give up. She realized that fluency doesn't happen overnight, and the more she practiced, the easier it would become. She started reviewing key phrases she could use during the meeting, like, "Let me clarify that for you," and, "That's a great point." By practicing them in front of the mirror or with a friend, Sarah grew more comfortable with speaking in English. Slowly, she built up her confidence. Every time she used one of these phrases in the meeting, she felt more in control. Sarah learned to manage her nerves by pausing to think before responding instead of rushing. She found that using simpler sentences, rather than trying to sound too formal, helped her express herself more naturally. Little by little, Sarah realized that practice was the key. She understood that fluency wasn't about speaking perfectly, it was about using what she knew, being patient with herself, and continuing to improve day by day. After practicing speaking more and using the new phrases she had learned, Sarah began to speak more confidently. During the next meeting, when the client asked a tough question, Sarah didn't hesitate. She took a deep breath, used the phrase she had practiced, and answered clearly. The words flowed more naturally, and for the first time, she didn't feel the usual pressure to get everything perfect. As the meeting continued, Sarah noticed how much easier it had become to express her ideas. The client responded positively, and Sarah felt a sense of pride in how far she had come. She realized that the key to speaking confidently wasn't about memorizing every word, but about trusting herself and relying on the phrases she had practiced. With each successful interaction, her confidence grew. Sarah now knew that speaking English wasn't about being flawless, it was about being comfortable, knowing the right words, and, most importantly, believing in her ability to communicate. The more she practiced, the easier it was to manage any situation that came her way. By the end of the story, Sarah had solved her problem and could now speak English with ease, just like a native speaker. She had mastered the key phrases, learned how to use them in real situations, and developed the confidence to communicate effectively. What once felt overwhelming now seemed natural, and Sarah no longer felt nervous in meetings or when talking to clients. Her ability to speak smoothly and confidently opened new doors in her career. She was not only able to express her ideas clearly but also connect with others on a deeper level. Through consistent practice, Sarah had transformed from someone who struggled with speaking into a confident, fluent speaker, proof that practice really does make perfect. Just like Sarah, you can improve your fluency in English. It's all about practice, and with the right tools and techniques, you'll get better every day. Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight. It takes consistent effort, but each step forward brings you closer to speaking confidently and naturally. Keep practicing, use the new phrases you learn, and stay patient with yourself. Over time, you'll see just how much progress you've made. Success is within reach, just keep going. Now, let's take a look at some of the important words and phrases we used in the story. These are phrases that can help you sound more natural in your conversations. This phrase is used when you feel unsure or unable to continue with something. It's a great way to express confusion or a lack of solution. Example: I'm stuck on this question. Can you help me? This phrase shows that improvement happens gradually, not all at once. It reminds us that things get easier the more we work at them. Example: with time and practice, you'll become more comfortable speaking English. This phrase means to speak without hesitation or doubt, making your words sound natural and assured. Example: She learned to speak with confidence after a few months of practice. This phrase means to solve a problem or find an answer. It's often used when you are thinking through a difficult situation. Example: I need to figure out how to finish this project before the deadline. 2. Handle the situation means to manage or deal with a problem or task. It's often used when someone needs to remain calm and take action. Example: I'm not sure how to handle this complaint, but I'll find a solution. Let's take the phrase, speak with confidence, as an example. This is a commonly used phrase when talking about improving communication skills or speaking in front of an audience. It can be used in various contexts. When giving a presentation, the more you practice, the better you'll speak with confidence during your presentation. In everyday conversations, after learning a lot of new phrases, I feel more confident when I speak English. It's a great phrase to use when you want to express self-assurance in your speaking ability. Now, try repeating these phrases out loud. Use them in your own sentences. The more you practice, the easier it will be to speak like a native. For example, try saying, "I'm stuck on this idea, can you help me figure it out?" Or, "With time and practice, I know I'll be able to handle this situation." The more you practice these phrases, the more natural they'll feel when you use them in your conversations. Today, we learned that speaking English like a native is possible with practice. The more you expose yourself to real stories and conversations, the more confident you'll become. Remember, fluency isn't about perfection, but about feeling comfortable using English in everyday situations. Remember, the key to fluency is practicing regularly. Keep listening, speaking, and using English in real situations. With each conversation, you'll improve your confidence and fluency. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be the first to know when our next fluency practice video is up. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. You'll get there one step at a time. See you in the next video.